Thank you. We will have a moment of silence followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We will have the roll call.
Commissioner Fairchild,
Present.
Commissioner Overly Smith,
Present.
Commissioner Martin,
Present.
Commissioner Walsh,
Present.
Commissioner Clark.
I have several announcements. Over the past 2 weeks, Upper Allen Township experienced significant winter weather events, and the board extends its sincere thanks to the following staff who all participated in plowing and storm response operations, working overnight beginning Saturday and continuing through Monday. From the Public Works, we had Corey Staswowski, Colin Barge, Gage Settlemoyer, Justin Taylor, Shane Hughes, Garrett Shearer, Caden Shadle, and Garrett Lucas. From the Parks Department, we had Chad Krebs, Eddie Mara, Jordan Palmer, Randy Hornberger, Ricky Conde, Stuart Blanksley, and Ryan Bosserman. And from the Sewer Department, we had Darren Waters, Stephen Martz, Jesse Simpson, and Jacob Lesher. Their collective efforts during the extended hours and difficult conditions were critical to maintaining road access and public safety throughout the township. The board recognizes that snow removal following major storms occurs in multiple phases and can take several days to complete. And we thank residents for their patience as the cleanup continues. The Upper Allen Township Fire Department held its annual banquet on Saturday, January 31st, to recognize its members and volunteers. Approximately 100 people attended. The board thanks all of our volunteer firefighters for their continued service to the community. Residents are reminded that winter weather updates, snow emergency declarations, and operational notices are posted on the township website and the official Facebook page. This meeting will be live streamed for those who wish to attend virtually. A recording of the meeting will also be available afterward for anyone who cannot join in real time. First on our agenda, we have the consideration and approval of the minutes for January 5th. Do we have any corrections or additions for the January 5th minutes?
On page 30.
Your microphone.
This is for the
Special
BOC minutes,
BOC or the special meeting?
the BOC.
No.
No. Okay. We have a motion to approve the minutes.
Motion to approve minutes.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? None. The motion carries. Now we have the January 12th minutes for the special meeting regarding Bishop Ridge. And I believe that's where Phil may have some additions or corrections.
Sure. Page 31, I just wanted to know if we could, it looked like, I understand it was an awful lot of information and did a great job of paring it down. It's huge, several hours. But I would like to know if we could insert Tyra Guyton's remarks after President Fairchild's, the second paragraph on page 31. And for reference, that's roughly 3 hours, 2 minutes and 46 seconds through 3 hours, 3 minutes and 56 seconds. And I've got a printed copy if that'll help it. I don't want to bore you reading the whole thing unless you want me to. There's a couple paragraphs there. In addition to that, prior to
Who is the speaker?
Tyra Guyton, she's a preservation specialist with the SHPO. And then in paragraph 2, President Fairchild, it states here in the second to last paragraph, second to last sentence of paragraph 2, President Fairchild also reportedly saw many uses of the bridge. I did review that, and I'd like to know if we could change out many uses of with 20 people come by, which is what he said at the time. I don't think that's a major issue, but I did want to clarify that there was a specific number there. That's it.
Motion to approve with those corrections.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? No. Motion carries to approve the January 12th minutes. We have recognition of visitors, which I believe would be anyone who wishes to speak on an item not on the agenda. We have Jim.
Evening, Commissioners. Jim Cochran, 384 Allison Avenue. I want to discuss recent procedural changes within the Upper Allen Township Board of Commissioners. While I respect the board's authority to make appointments, I'm deeply concerned by the process used to reach those decisions. During the January 5th reorganization meeting, most appointments were simple reappointments and proceeded as expected. However, the appointment of an individual to the vacancy board was passed with zero discussion, which struck me as a bit unusual as there was no discussion about this new individual at all. This pattern continued on January 21st when President Fairchild stated, and I quote, "We thought about this as a new board and we would like to do is to reopen all the positions." This declaration raises critical questions. First, who is we? Second, when and where did this collective deliberation occur? Third, was there a vote and who was in favor of this change? According to the Pennsylvania Office of Open Records, any discussion of agency business held for the purpose of making a decision constitutes deliberation. Under the Pennsylvania Sunshine Act, with few exceptions, such deliberation must occur in a public meeting. I've already talked to the Office of Open Records. I've consulted with the Cumberland County District Attorney's Office and with legal counsel, and I've filed a right to know request regarding communications on this matter. To avoid a possible costly or protracted legal challenge in the Court of Common Pleas, which is the step you have to take, I'm asking for transparency tonight. Who initiated the discussion to reopen all volunteer positions? Which commissioners were involved in that discussion? How was the consensus reached outside of a public forum? I urge the board to share the answers to these questions with the public and honor your promise of increased transparency as we move forward. Thank you.
I would attempt to respond to that. Maybe the solicitor could help, but I believe it's proper to have a one-on-one discussion between commissioners to kind of have a sense of where each commissioner stands on an issue. Would defer to the solicitor.
Under the Sunshine Act, it would definitely be a violation of the Sunshine Act if there was a quote unquote meeting of a majority of the commissioners to deliberate and decide this type of issue. There's no question that there was a meeting that would be a violation. I don't think that I'm not aware, and I've looked at this, of any case law that one-on-one conversations violate the Sunshine Act. However, I would caution against that because it does lead to an appearance that there was a collective decision made, even if it was one-on-one. So I would recommend that those one-on-one conversations not occur, even if it's not technically a violation of the Sunshine Act.
To look at some of our PSATs training, they had how you reach consensus, and there was no meeting, Jim.
In talking with the Office of Open Records, and if you go on their website, they say that any discussion or deliberation intending to find out how someone might vote is deliberation and needs to be done in the public. So you can listen to your solicitor, but that's what.
There was no
Office of
vote
Open
on
Records
that,
Sorry.
but there was no vote on that. So you're saying that a conversation about how one would vote,
How one would vote.
right? That there-
So it was a procedure and President Fairchild said, we've decided to change that. To change a procedure, you need a vote. There was no vote taken in the public, but things were changed. So how did we get there?
Well, Jim, I'm happy to tell you how my involvement worked in it. And I'm sure when you sat in the seat, you probably had conversations with your colleagues on things as well. And a lot of times it's a question. So being that I'm new here, I'm happy to be the one to say that I reached out and I said, how does this work? I see that there are 2 appointments that are open. How does this work? That was the extent of my involvement in that, is to just say, is this an automatic? I then looked it up and realized that it's not an automatic once I knew.
Correct?
So it's not really a procedure change, then it's following the way that the procedure is currently written, which is that it's not an automatic reappointment.
Commissioner Fairchild described it as a change. We've decided to change. Who is the we and what are you changing and why wasn't there a vote in public if you're changing something? That's my question. And those are your words. Let's go back and look at the tape.
Maybe it's a poor choice of words, Jim. You know, we're early in our tenure, but I read the same policy that it was not an automatic reappointment.
And when
And
Paul Rigney suggested that perhaps you should go back and look at the Sunshine Act, Commissioner Smith said, we've already had training. So I'm assuming you all are aware of what goes on. The Office of Open Records has a different opinion than what your solicitor does. You can decide which way you want to go on that, but I'm telling you, from the discussions I've had with legal counsel, who is a solicitor for a couple municipalities, he thinks you're on thin ice. So.
okay, thank you.
Well, just to follow up, I'm not aware that it was ever discussed in a meeting. There may have been conversations amongst commissioners, but I don't believe I was ever involved in any of the conversations about that process.
Okay, anyone else wish to speak on an item not on the agenda?
My name is Cleo Gargiulos. I live at 19 Helm Drive over in Kimberly Meadows. I had a couple things. First of all, I talked to the township manager, Ms. Stambaugh, about the first issue I want to bring up, which is the trash. This has become a pet peeve of mine for the last 2 years with Republic Services, from the truck catching on fire and the illegal dumping of hydraulic fluid down to the waterways in Upper Allen. That happened twice on the same street by the same company. So here we are. Last week, we got a notification that there will be a double pickup the following week. Snow aside, emergency, all that other stuff aside, the inability to trucks to make a turn in the cul-de-sacs, all that stuff aside because of the snow removal. My training is in contracts. We live by the 4 corners of the contract. I asked that the board or whoever has to do it review the contract, see if they were within their contract when this notification was sent out. Was it approved or was it clarified through township manager or whoever else has to go through the belly button? And because there was no services provided for that week for a number of residents, instead of moving it to the next day, I think, although the contract does not have it in there, that we should be discounted in the following quarter. It should be in there. So when you go to people out the contract, if they fail to pick up, I don't care what the problem is. If there's no exception to weather, it doesn't exist. It's not in the contract. I don't care if the president comes down and says there's a state of emergency here. So their wording that they use that we're going to do a double pickup the following week confused a lot of my neighbors. So that's first and foremost. So get to the bottom of the line with Republic Services. I know last time I was here, there was some hope that we would get a new contract with the new vendor. I don't know where we're at in that process, but anything but dumping hydraulic fuel down to the reservoir, not calling out the hazmat team when it happens, or trucks catching on fire in my neighborhood, should probably look into a little bit more whether or not these guys have been good recipients of the tax dollars, or in this case, the fees that we are mandated by the township to use. Because if we're not mandated, I'm more than happy to go and find my own dumping service and trash hauling and stuff like that, because this is ridiculous already. And I don't want them sitting there dumping hydraulic fluid in front of my street. That's very poisonous to animals, if you didn't know.
Sir, I'm sorry, I didn't catch your name.
Clido, C-L-I-D-O, Ardulis.
Thank you.
Second issue on here, and I think it's a blessing. I got to watch the entire 12th special board presentation and the speakers. One question I do have, were all the speakers on the same 3-minute time limit that we are on as people? Because it seems like there was a proportionately majority of proponents arguing for the saving of that bridge. And I think anybody gets up here and is opposed to the bridge should get just as much time as those proponents that were. The honest reflection of those presenters were, take this to heart. The county guy that was here,
Mr. Stoner.
yeah, he's about had the most insightful opinion as to why we should not even entertain this. We should run $2.6 million in sunken costs since 2017. That's what I paid, and everybody in this room who's a member of the Cumberland County and pay Cumberland County taxes is what we've already spent on a bridge to nowhere that doesn't even support the trails within the township or the planned trails, rails and trails and stuff like that. 2.6 sunk costs. We're never going to recover that. And now you're asking the residents to sit there and say $1.1 million is a good fiduciary use of the taxpayer dollars. Capital reserve, it's either through mismanagement or overtaxation. I don't think the people that you have working here for the township are mismanaging their budgets and all of a sudden creating all this surplus for us. So you must be overtaxing us to have that much of a reserve of $6.3 million. And from everything else that I've heard that day with regards to the fuels tax, it seems like a no-go option. So if you got $600,000 to donate for this, I suggest you subcontract people out to go to all these tiny little walk signs that you put up around the township and see how they're not plowed out and see how many of the arms are broken in the middle of Gettysburg Road and Lisburn Road, or down there at the turnabout by Giant where there's no cleaning off them. If you're in a wheelchair, you can't get them. I'm in violation if I don't clean my sidewalk within 24 hours. So who are we going to hold culpable for not cleaning those sidewalks? So ask yourselves that before you sit there and approve this at the next meeting. Is this a good use of taxpayer dollars? Because everything I see, I drove down that bitch today. It's a joke, okay? Some things are meant to be razor blades.
Sir,
I spent
you're well past your 3 minutes and you're
I spent
you're
12
all over the place. So come
I'm
back
not
at
all
the
over the
end
place.
then.
Here, you want me to
You
read the full
raised
section?
about 3
Don't
different
waste the
issues.
taxpayers' money. $1.1 million is what you're asking for us to pony up. And you're asking us to pony up out of the reserves. And the whataboutism, what about the stock and what about the
You're over
parks?
the limit.
Okay, is that how you
Go
want
to
to go?
courtesy
You go that way.
for the other speakers, and we have an agenda to get to. Anyone else wish to speak? Mr. Brenneman.
Paul Brenneman, 2020 Stumpstown Road. I missed the last meeting and I tried to watch most of it on the video and I just caught it here now. So now we're doing a 3-minute limit. You folks, most of you folks have been harping and harping to get people out here to your meetings. You got what, 5 residents, and then you want to cut somebody off for 3 minutes. And you, Commissioner Fairchild, I watched you time and time and time again before you were a commissioner. You get up here and pontificate and pontificate. And Commissioner Martin, when president, never shut you off. I understand there's 3-minute, 5 minutes, some townships. It's one thing when it's full, but when there's 5 people here, and the gentleman, why can't he speak? You know, who made that roll up? I'm curious. Somebody had to come up with that. Was it you or was it a group? That's a question, sir.
I don't think I think stated in our agenda.
So who decided to
say, but
I've been coming to these meetings for 20 years and there's never been a buzzer.
What's that?
I've been coming to meetings off and on for 20 years and there was never a buzzer. So whose idea was that?
It's a long-standing idea. It's just not been enforced.
Who implemented
over the
it?
years. The board and the staff.
Whose idea was it?
Especially.
It was ours,
But,
the new people,
why?
just to have a 3-minute.
But if there's only a few people here and you take your time to come to this meeting, it's not like at the Bridge Forum when there was 150 people here. You know, I don't understand it. And like I said, you weren't on the board, but they complain that nobody comes to these meetings and then they cut you off.
So we did it for the Bridge Forum. I think we've been more relaxed tonight because it is a smaller audience. And we need to get on to our meeting. Yes, so. All right, we have our consent agenda, consideration approval of bills in the amount of $152,661.27. Do we have any discussion or questions on the bills? Hearing none, I would call for a motion to
I
approve the
move
bills.
we authorize disbursement of the warrant list.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries to approve the bills. Next, we have financial security reduction for Pennington Farms, UAT file number 07-12-3A and 3B.
Mr. Chairman, I had a question on it. I did see though from Mr. Welks, or rather Mr. Finkenbinder's comments or someone's, I guess it was Scott, I'm sorry. But I had questions about this because we met with the developer previously. Some have been on site and there was a lot of outstanding issues. So, Mike, maybe you know, but do you feel that the reduction in financial security that was suggested by Jason is appropriate? And you don't have to, go through item by item, but has there been substantial enough progress in this development to warrant the reduction?
I'm comfortable
Okay.
deferring to what Jason
Okay.
recommends.
And if you want, Mr. Chairman, I would be, sure. I would move to reduce the financial security for Pennington Farms, UAT file 712-3A and 3B from $153,106.80 to $20,744.90. Township staff shall release the current financial security to the developer after the developer provides an amendment to the current bond or post for the township new financial security in the reduced amount in a satisfactory form as provided for in the subdivision and land development ordinance.
A second.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Next, we have a financial security reduction for K-Care, Upper Allen, Genius Kids. It's UAT file number 32-08-01.
Didn't have any questions.
I may
Okay.
have the same question to Mike that Ken did. Were we satisfied that one of these had a difference between what the applicant asked for and I think what Davidson recommended? Staff is satisfied.
I'm looking at CS Davidson's memo for this one, and the reduction amount matches. The original amount is different of 329,000 versus 322, but the reduced amount is identical.
It was the outstanding amount currently that there was a question about. I remember now.
Okay, thank you.
I think that's been reconciled.
I'd move to reduce the financial security for K-Care UA file 32-08-01 from $329,784.04 to $6,920.84. The township staff shall release the current financial security to the developer after the developer provides an amendment to the current bond or posts with the township a new financial security in the reduced amount in a satisfactory form as provided for in the subdivision and land development ordinance.
Second.
All those in favor?
I
Motion carries. Next, we have the Public Safety Committee. We have Chief Parsons or Lieutenant Barnes to speak for the police department.
Yes, good evening. Last week, the police department was invited to participate in a legislative forum to discuss anti-human trafficking policy and potential future legislation. We were honored to be a part of that. It was the first forum was hosted here. They're planning to do these all around the entire state, and we got to be a part of the first one and offer input on that. Also this week, we're in the process of finalizing and putting 2 new cars into service. These cars, excuse me, were in last year's budget, paid for out of 2025 funds. With equipment delays and supplier delays, it's just been, a process. So I'm glad to take any questions.
I had a question. I'm new in the position of Township Commissioner, and I'm not aware of our police relationship with Homeland Security. And in recognition to the sad state of our public safety affairs in Minnesota, does our Upper Allen Township Police Department have any agreement or relationship with ICE? And I understand that people who do violate the law get due process and are held accountable. And do we have an ICE agreement? And I believe that municipal participation in those agreements erode community trust in law enforcement and increase racial profiling. And we don't want to support harassment of anybody who appears to be an immigrant or even a partner with ICE on providing information for warrantless arrests. Communities become less safe for everyone, openly hostile to the immigrant neighbors who might be impacted with ICE agreements. And I think public safety depends on people feeling safe and coming forward when the residents feel that interacting with the local police could lead to immigration consequences and they stop reporting crimes and cooperating as witnesses, and our entire community becomes less safe. So I'd like to find out from you, are we doing that?
No, we do not have any agreements with ICE.
Thank you.
Any other questions, Lieutenant Barnes? Okay, Chief Schomburger then.
Evening, Commissioners. I just wanted to let everybody know the new county radio system, the 911 system, will be going into effect February 17th.
I don't believe it.
Yeah, at 9 o'clock in the morning.
That's all good 10 years.
It's kind of a push at the end. We're getting our vehicles and radios done the 16th, along with the police department. So hopefully there's no problems. So, but 9 o'clock the 17th, everything goes live with the new system. The old system will be shut off. So.
Wow. That's the best news I've heard since breakfast. Wow. We started, just for full information, some of you are newer, but that project started, it had to be at least 10 years ago, perhaps longer. And so the board at that time, way back when Chief Adams was here, we set money aside and built up an escrow so that the money to purchase the radios were held. And we've been holding it for all that time. And so finally, I thought that was good fiscal discipline and had no clue it would take this long to get there. But there'll be a lot of happy campers throughout Cumberland County in terms of public safety agencies if we finally get that.
I'm just hoping on the, at 9 o'clock on the 17th, when they flip the switch, everything works the way it's supposed to.
Understood. Yeah.
That's a great point. So is there a backup plan if things don't work?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I mean, the old system, they'll be able to turn it back on, but I mean, everybody's getting their radios switched to the new system. So it may be
little bit of problems there in the very beginning. So hopefully we'll go that whole day without a call and everything will be smooth.
And in all fairness to the county and those doing it, they did have some issues with booster stations and with the towers to make sure the entire county was covered. We have 2 towers within our township. And, so took a little longer, but shouldn't have taken this long.
Yeah, with the new system, we're supposed to be over 90% coverage everywhere in the county. So, I mean, it's a very complex and detailed system, so hopefully it'll work out well for us.
Just to add on to that too, county did identify that there is a coverage issue at the top of South Market Street near the Mechanicsburg Middle School, and they're working on putting an extra tower in there to help just service Upper Allen Township. So that'll be a good thing for our community.
What's the timeline for that?
They didn't commit to one, but they said it wouldn't be in time for go live, but shortly thereafter. That's what I was told. So good question.
I had a question. Will residents still be able to use scanners to hear the calls?
Actually, I was told yesterday there's 2 scanners that they came out with that'll be able to work on the system. They're fairly expensive. But with the old system, you couldn't use the scanner. Now the 800 system, you couldn't. But now the new system, Bearcat makes 2 scanners that you can use. Of course, the police will be encrypted, so that won't be on the scanners, but the fire end of it will.
That's good to hear.
I just wanted to mention too, and it was alluded to in your opening remarks, but the firemen did have their annual dinner meeting banquet on Saturday night. It was well attended. We had coverage by Fairview Township firefighters, so that truly our volunteers had a night off and they could eat and dance and have fun. And it was really nice to see our volunteers getting a night off. So well deserved. And
Thank you.
it was a nice event.
Thank you.
And you even showed up for the door prizes.
Yeah, I flew home from Mexico for that, so.
You missed dinner.
Chief Schomburger, I just had a quick question. During the banquet, Mr. Salter had told me about a cardiac arrest save that occurred recently. And it was his understanding, well, I guess he was one of the people who got there very quickly and thought that perhaps there was some component of the new incentive program that may have led to that very quick response. Was the individual saved, and will there be a citation?
Yes, the individual is still, saved, so.
And I'm anticipating a citation of some sort for the responders?
Yeah, we usually wait till everything sorts out and make sure that the patient's gonna, make a full recovery, and we don't want to celebrate too early. So, but yeah, we wish everybody the best, and
Great, thank you.
But yeah, if it indeed becomes a save and everything, then, I'll forward that to the board, and we, give pins for the Class A and everything, so.
Great.
The incentive program, and I don't know if they covered it at the banquet or not, but it's been a blessing to us. I mean, we're out the door in 1 to 2 minutes now, usually, so. And that
What is it?
versus the 8 to 10 minutes before.
It's 8 to 10 down to 2?
Yeah, 1 to 2. I
1
mean,
to 2?
the guys are out as quick as they can be out now, so.
Fantastic.
Yep, absolutely. Thank you for that.
Well, and the response call, the volume of volunteers has been up in terms of the what are we averaging now, between 7 and 8?
Yeah, we're all but 8 right now, so.
Okay. I think we're good. Thank you for the reports. Next, we have Planning and Zoning Committee. Do we have anything from staff?
Nope, we have nothing.
Nothing? And next, we have the Public Improvements Committee. Do we have any reports? None are indicated?
Nothing to report.
Okay, thank you, Lou and Keldine. Next, we have the Sanitary Sewer System. Do we have any reports from them?
There's the information as far as the consideration from the board this evening would involve the standard requirement of the shut-off agreement and the user data agreement.
Oh, thank you. That was one line down.
It's my understanding that for all intents and purposes, this is a continuation of our existing protocol. Pretty much.
It is something that is required by the utilities that yes, and that is nothing new or different, and it would be a continuation, but it reaffirms that.
Good.
I wasn't aware if Viola serves the entire township or not. I thought Pennsylvania American also served part of the township.
Maybe a small part that's P American Water, like over by the industrial park and part of Ross Point,
Right.
that particular area.
It's where
Yeah, there's a small,
or out
there's a
the
small
other
section of
something.
But the majority is Viola.
And I don't have sewer at my own home, but
We can
we
hook you
have,
up.
thank you. I just have to pay, right? So is everybody metered that way? I thought we were at $99 a quarter for a sewer fee. Is there plus metered usage or? Is it?
I believe the commercial, but not for residential. It's a flat fee.
Okay. So the shut off agreement would be mainly for, well, it's for both. It's residential and commercial.
You ready for a motion?
Yep. We have a
Okay.
motion on this agreement.
Okay, I move that the Board of Commissioners approve the user data agreement and the shut-off agreement between Upper Allen Township and Viola Water, Pennsylvania, Inc., and authorize the township manager and the president of the Board of Commissioners to execute the agreements on behalf of the township, subject to solicitor review and Pennsylvania Public Utility Commission filing requirements.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Next, we have the administrative committee, and we have several administrative items.
Would you like to handle these individually, I suppose,
Yes.
Mr. President? Okay. Then I would be prepared to move to appoint Allison Appleby, an Assistant Township Manager, to serve as Assistant Secretary to the Board of Commissioners, effective upon start of employment scheduled for February 9, 2026.
I second.
Any discussion? I mean, for the benefit of the public, would you like to say anything about Allison Keldy?
We look forward to having her start next week with the township. We've enjoyed having Lou Fazekas fill in the interim, and he will be with us a few more weeks. But during the transition, we do look forward to having this permanently filled now moving forward. And the title of Assistant Secretary is automatic associated with the Assistant Township position or Manager position, so.
And I believe she's coming from the Department of Community and Economic Development.
We look forward to unveiling and introducing her to the public after she arrives, and that we'll share a little bit more about her at that time.
Okay, thank you. So we have a motion.
Yeah, we did that.
Aaron seconded. We didn't vote on this.
Oh, call for the vote.
Okay, call for a vote then on appointing Allison Appleby as Assistant Township Manager and Assistant Secretary to the Board. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. The motion carries.
And then similarly, we are anticipating getting a new community development director. So I believe the manager has asked us to, I'd make a motion to approve or consider, positively consider and create extending a conditional offer to the recommended candidate for the community development director.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay.
Yeah.
All those in favor?
Aye.
That motion carries.
Then following that,
Following that.
well, I'd like to make this over because this is long over. No, I think this is very appropriate, but we'll be having a new community development director since Jen is no longer here. And I just wanted to say beforehand, Michael Weld, who's our zoning officer and works in that community development department, has stepped up along with Scott Finkenbinder, and they've worked hard to make sure that you can't replace Jen. We all know that, but boy, you've done a darn good job of making sure that department functions and there's no gaps. And you should be applauded. And $2 and a cup of coffee, you'll be on your way.
Thank you.
But then beyond that, then the manager is recommending, and I think it's a good one, that Mike then continue as a zoning officer, but also be named as the assistant community development director, since those positions work so closely. So I would move that we create a new position of assistant director in the Department of Community Development and extending an offer of employment.
You have a second?
Second.
Yeah. All those in favor?
Aye.
Could we add that the position be expanded for the duties and promotion with an $8,863 increase to his current annual compensation?
That would be, yes, I'd be happy to include that. That was in our material, but I wasn't, my bad.
Well, then Mike can buy the coffee.
Yeah, he can buy his own coffee. No.
Okay.
So if it's okay with the board, I would put that amendment as part of my original motion, if that's okay. And why don't you revote that, just so we have a record of it?
Second that.
Second,
Decision.
those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We're down to 6B, resolution appointing members to the Pension Advisory Board.
And since you handed this to me, I will be happy to do that. I would move to adopt resolution number 1122, establishing commissioner appointments to the township pension boards, providing that 2 commissioners shall serve on each pension board as determined by the president of the board, acknowledging the recommended plan, employee representatives, designating the township manager as secretary to all the pension boards, and approve the following commissioner appointments. And so President Fairchild suggested these prior to this motion. So for the police pension plan, Commissioners Eric Fairchild and Commissioner Jennifer Clark and Commissioner Karen Overly Smith would serve as commissioners, with Andrew Parson and/or Brian Barnes being the staff. Do you wish to deal with these as a group or with the individual pension boards?
I believe it's a group.
Okay, then I will continue. For the non-uniform defined benefit pension plan, I would move that Commissioner Eric Fairchild and Commissioner Ken Martin be representatives, along with Staff Representative Julie Roth. The non-uniform defined contribution pension plan, Commissioner Eric Fairchild and Commissioner Phil Walsh, with Jacqueline Swanson as the staff person. And for the volunteer fire company pension plan, Commissioner Eric Fairchild and Commissioner Ken Martin as commissioners, and Matt Whitmer as a designated staff volunteer. That's in the form of a motion.
Do we have a second?
Second.
You might want to ask for discussion with third.
Any further discussion? And I believe this will be resolution 1122. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
The motion carries. Next, do we have any reports from the Park and Recreation Committee? We have Mr. Williams.
Jeff Williams, 334 East Meadow Drive. Good news tonight. I received an email this morning from the director of Camp Hill Park and Recreation, who is also the chairperson of the Pennsylvania Recreation and Park Society Recognition and Awards Committee. And our Parks Department has won an Excellence in Recreation and Parks Award again this year for the train station. And this will be awarded at the state conference banquet at Spooky Nook. One of those. Okay, yeah, thank you. I believe March 26th.
That's great.
And I think it's notable to mention that our staff has repeatedly been recognized. I chaired this particular committee quite a few years back because my wife volunteered me. And for 2 years, I saw the applications that came in. I saw the submissions and how excellent they were. And for us to get another one is exceptional. So I want to publicly commend this Board of Commissioners for always supporting our Parks Department. I want to commend our staff who are so much better than we think sometimes. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim.
Good news.
The next we have, do we have a solicitor update?
I sent an email earlier today with a legislative update on two House bills that were referred out of committee today. One was the Sunshine Act bill that I had discussed before. So I don't recall which House committee it was, but it was passed through that committee and passed to the floor. If that legislation is enacted, you would no longer be allowed to amend agendas with less than 24 hours before a public meeting. And then the other bill that I notified you about was regarding public notices. There's a potential amendment to the law that requires publishing notices in newspapers of general circulation that are hard copy newspapers. If there are areas of the state where hard copy newspapers are not published, then the legal notices can be published by an electronic newspaper online. And again, that's just a bill that's been passed through committee, but I think that based on my connections in the media industry, that bill is very likely to pass the newspapers of general circulation bill. That's it. And then we will need an executive session tonight to discuss matters of litigation involving a pending tax assessment appeal.
All right, well, thank you. Tax Collection Committee. Report. Capital Region COG update.
Nothing to report since the banquet that some of us enjoyed.
Municipal Advisory Board update.
No report.
Okay. Pennsylvania State Association of Township Commissioners update.
No report.
No report. Okay. We're again at a public comment period for anyone who wishes to speak. Sharon Howard.
Sharon Howard, 2479 Glyme Drive. Just wanted to ask a follow-up question to the special meeting held on Bishop Bridge. First, I thank you for holding that meeting. I found it very educational. I walked away with a lot of information that evening, probably information overload, but that's a good thing. Are there any future meetings, discussions? What are next steps? Has the township made a decision? Will there be a vote? The meeting was held and now crickets. So I'm just curious what the next steps are, if any.
I would say it's a complicated issue, as you probably are aware from attending the session, and there's ongoing discussions with some of the state agencies and the county. And we're
Are those discussions that we're privy to or that are documented, and is that information that's being discussed open to the public?
I don't believe so at this point. But it's just really seeking clarification of like various PennDOT regulations and things like that.
I know that the county, Mr. Stoner commented that the county needed an answer to know how to move forward. Are they moving forward in any way? Are they on hold? Is that not known? I've looked on their agendas as well, and I don't see the topic on any of their agendas.
I believe they had a meeting last week. The Sentinel did a story yesterday that they rejected the demolition bids. I guess they had revisited that issue. I believe they're proceeding on their own, timeline. And we are still trying to figure out our own timeline.
Okay, it's odd to me, and I'm sure many of you have seen the chatter in the Facebook group. A lot of interest still exists. I've met a lot of people through this discussion. And so I'm speaking here on behalf of myself, but also those that aren't here tonight that have asked the same questions. So I'm just curious why conversations would happen and not be public. I guess that's probably, I'm just confused.
I don't have much else to tell you. We're still awaiting responses for some of this information.
Are those responses, are those inquiries that have been made? Those inquiries that have been made, are they available under a right to know request?
I would think anything is pretty much right to know request, depending on how you would. I'll let the solicitor answer.
Yeah, so there's been communications, and as far as I know, there's not been any deliberations on any future actions. There's been questions asked about what potential funding may be available, and those conversations, I believe, would be accessible under the right to know law. It wouldn't be pre-decisional deliberations because there hasn't been any deliberations.
Okay, I'll follow up with those then. Thank you.
Thanks. Any other public comment? Yeah. Well, that was quick.
Wait, can I add one other
Yeah,
thing?
sure.
The township has received right to know requests for those communications, and those requests are being processed, and I believe will be granted.
Could you just tell me the process? I've never done a right to know request.
There's a form that you fill out with the township. You submit it to the township's open records officer, Will Shucker. And it's just a one-page form. You just tell him what records you want, and then the township has 5 days to do an initial response. If there's any kind of legal review necessary, then there can be an additional 30 days. And then the documents would either be disclosed, or you would be advised why the documents would not be disclosed if there was a legal reason that they were exempt from public disclosure.
Okay, thank you.
Just want to follow up on my earlier inquiry. First of all, my understanding is this might be appearing on the board for the March 4th for the thing. If that's false, you've got the bridge that's coming up. So if that's false, you might want to crush that rumor that's being circulated because it came from within the four walls here, not these exterior walls. Secondly, just to rehash about what the county guy said, they're dumping this off on our lap if we take it. So they've already invested $2.6 million. How far down the slippery slope do we want to go on this? Secondly, I don't see PennDOT stepping up and helping. The lifeline, even if they were to throw a lifeline, I think the young lady said within 2 to 3 years, it might be able to get presented to them to sit there for funding. Last but not least, where's York on this? This is benefiting them first and foremost than anybody else. If you want a trail, put a trail over there, put a cross bridge in there, make it nice and zippy, turn the old one down. If you want a memorial, do an economic impact analysis, because all I heard in a lot of the pro-borough speeches were how much tourism is going to be. So carry yourself down to the state data center, ask them how many tourists we're going to get. Let me tell you something, these parks get more people on one weekend in one tournament that sit there and provide more economic impact than that bridge will provide in the next 100 years.
Anyone else?
Good evening. Nate Dowdy, North Meadow Drive. I've been my comments tonight are concerning the most recent snowstorm and snow removal. I've been a resident of Meadowview for 35 years. During that time, we've had probably 8, 10, or even a dozen storms that were more impactful, significant than the most recent storm we had. I call that one that we just went through a moderate storm. And myself and I would say 90+% of my neighbors, take our responsibility for clearing the sidewalks seriously. So we were out there and we had them cleared. Now there may have been a couple that were not, in their homes or at their homes when the storm happened. But in any event, the sidewalks looked very good. On Wednesday morning, one of the larger snowplows came through the development, and I would call it obliterated large sections of the sidewalks. Clearly, they were worse than when the snow first occurred. I just, and I'm not alone in my frustration because I've never seen that before. It wasn't necessary. I think the plows were going at a high rate of speed, shooting it further than needed. When you go to remove, and I have pictures for anyone that would be interested, these are now blocks, I call them boulders of snow and ice, they're no longer, clearly you can't, you're overmatched if you try to dig out of that with a shovel. You need power equipment. And not only that, obviously they're heavy. People paid to remove the snow one time. I don't think they really wanted to or should be expected to have to pay a second time when it's no fault of their own. Like I said, we're aware of the township ordinances. I think it's important, but clearly the sidewalks were not made more safe. They were made less safe. And I have heard that now enforcement action is being at least threatened or considered, maybe. I think those people did what they were obligated to do under the ordinances. They removed the snow within 24 hours after the storm. What happened next was man-made. So I just wanted to share that. I know I'm not alone in my frustration over this event. As I said, 35 years, I've not seen it done like this before. For those of you that are new in your roles, in your commissioner spots, it's just not a good first reflection, I think, of the township's services. So that's all I had to share. Hopefully it can improve going forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Williams.
Did you want to say something?
No.
I just wanted to respond really quickly. I'm sorry, before you get started, Mr. Williams, that,
No.
well,
Sorry.
start my timer. We'll take a look at that because I think there was some review of that process. So I do appreciate you bringing that forward. And if you just give us a chance to kind of figure things out a little bit, I don't want you to think that we weren't being responsive or aware of the issue. But yes, kind of a follow, what went well, what didn't. So I appreciate that. Thank you.
Still, Jeff Williams, 334 East Meadow. With respect to my neighbor, I disagree. We've lived there 18 years on East Meadow. And with a storm like this, and knowing the men in parks and public works and sewer, what they had to go through, I compliment them. The first time through on East Meadow, and East Meadow is a very highly traveled road. It's a racetrack for some of you that know where it is. People blow through there all the time. They didn't plow to the curb on my side of the road. And when I saw that, I knew that I'd have to snow blow that sidewalk again. I'd have to really snow blow and shovel my driveway again to get out, because it was a fairly substantial storm. And when you get something like that, I'm sorry, folks, you just got to go with the flow. I disagree with you. I understand some of my neighbors. I saw one of her posts earlier today. And I give credit where credit is due. I think the township does a good job removing snow. And I accept the fact as a homeowner, I'm going to have to do it twice when there's a storm like that. I might have to do it again just from the wind blowing drifts over across the sidewalk. So I'm sorry, sir, I just disagree with you. I gave my address. I hope my house doesn't get egged tonight, but I just have to say that I want to compliment our staff again and that I disagree. Thank you.
Thank you.
Everyone's taking a second turn and they mentioned snow. I just want to mention the police department because Elmwood Avenue has a series of apartments. And I'll salute the board. You declared a snow emergency in plenty of time, told everybody to get their cars off the streets. And today there are still cars plowed in that have never moved and have never been ticketed. Why call it snow emergency if you're not going to enforce it? I mean, I understand maybe during the snow you can't do it, but you can come back after that and teach these people a lesson, because now it's like playing dodge cars to get in and out with all the snow and the cars that are snowed in there. And there was a time early on when snow emergencies meant people were going to get tickets. And that hasn't been the case the last 10 years, and it's disappointing.
I can tell you that, and I remember those snow emergencies from 10 years ago and waking people up at 2:00 in the morning to get them to move their vehicles. The police department has taken the approach of trying to educate people because it's been a while since we've had a snow emergency with a significant snowfall. So when we received complaints and we did about certain vehicles, we would make contact with those people and ask them to move their vehicles. If they refused, or if the public works crews contacted us about a safety issue, then those people would be ticketed. So.
We had complaints about Bowman's Hill as well. I think you used to live in that neighborhood, Jim. Oh. Okay. But it's like cars were on both sides of the street entombed, and nothing's been done in a week. But I'm aware of Lower Allen and some of the older neighborhoods with narrow streets. They have parking only like on one side on odd and even months during the winter. And have we ever considered that? That might help some of these older neighborhoods, or at least get all the cars to one side. If we could do a better job plowing.
not sure if that was directed to me, sir, but I'm not aware of any discussions like that.
Down or Lou, I mean, maybe she has experience in the tax thing or
So-
whatever with how. they
So,
did it.
well, yeah, Paxton would be a different situation.
Okay.
For sure, in an older community. However, I would say that, the current, it's my understanding that the snow emergency is for all the township roads. And so the way it currently is written is that there's no parking. So if that's something you would like to consider changing in the future, then we would implement accordingly.
Yeah, I think we'd have to, do our research and see what options we may have. I don't know. How does that sound to the public that's here? It seems like we have to do something a little better in terms of getting cars off the street. What's that?
I said move to a neighborhood with no sidewalks.
Mhm. Righty. I think we're ready for an executive session then.
Okay, so make a quick note real quick.
Sure.
My time is coming closely to an end, although it's taken a lot longer than
Okay.
I had anticipated. I thought I would be in and out in about 2 months. I came here on August 4th and I'll be here probably through the end of the month. And this may be my last meeting that I attend. But I want to thank the board although I guess I should thank Josh too. I saw him while I was getting my granddaughter's permit at PennDOT down in East Penn and mentioned to him that I heard some staff had left and he confirmed that was in fact the case. And I jokingly said to Josh that if the township needed some help, just give me a call, thinking that would not happen. In fact, he reiterated, was I serious? And I said, sure. Yeah, have him give me a call or send me an email. And of course, I heard from Commissioner Martin and within a few days later, and here I am almost 7 months later. I couldn't have come at probably a worse time because August was the start of the budget. And that's pretty hectic trying to get through that budget process and get us through the end of the year. But I wanted to thank the board for inviting me back, and my wife is looking for me to come back to retirement again. So thanks again.
Thanks, Lou.
Lou, thank you very much.
I would like to note that he will be at the next meeting.
Yeah.
And we knew, Lou, that you were just hankering to go through another budgeting process. That's why we arranged it on this.
You've done an outstanding job. I've just been so impressed working with you. Thank you. Alrighty, I think we're ready for an executive session. Thanks for